It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission at the end of the day is to provide you, the hard working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only TC Heard, who's in the building, talking about it's time to step up and into the person you were meant to be. What's up, TC? How are you?
What's up? What's up? Happy hello, people. Thank you so much, Shay, for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm
I,
excited to be here.
I like that, a happy hello. I never heard that, happy hello. Happy hello to you, too. To some folks, I've never had a chance to meet face-to-face, but I have had a chance to meet you face-to-face, which is really cool because you're local and you're in the area. But folks are reading your bio, okay? So they'll see how famous you are and how cool you are. But they're curious. You've got this topic. It's time to step up and be the person you're meant to be. It's going to be a crazy question, but I think it's a real question, which is why are people struggling in today's world with all this technology, with all this automation, with all this media around to step up and be the best person they were meant to be? What's holding them back these days?
I believe the number one thing that's holding people back is self awareness. Not a lot of people have self awareness to be able to register with one, where they are in their life and how they're feeling, but their mental health plays a part into that too, which that's the one thing that I'd love to talk about and be very upfront about is my mental health. My mental health helps me be aware to know that what am I actually feeling and what it is I need to do so that way I can better my to-do list and my other endeavors that I'm involved in.
You know, self-awareness means different things to different people. Mental health means different things to different people. So can you slow down and kind of break down what does self-awareness even mean from your view of the world? And so what does it mean to the average person out there? A lot of these folks are dualpreneurs. They work full-time jobs. They're full-time entrepreneurs. They take care of
Mhm.
families, take care of kids. So what does self-awareness mean and what does that look like? What's your definition if you can? So we can all be on the same page. And then number two, and
Absolutely.
I think you can handle two questions. Mental
Mhm.
wellness, mental awareness, or mental health. It's a big topic these days. Break down why you brought that up and why that's so important for where we are in the world today.
Well, for me, in my experience, I suffer from anxiety and depression to the point where I've sometimes in the past have had to need medication. Over the years, I never knew what to call the feelings or to call the just extreme stress my body was in my mind also too was experiencing until I entered into therapy. When I entered into therapy, I began to talk about what I was actually feeling, what was going on in my life, because I've had a lot of traumas in my past. And what I did was, which a lot of Black women do, is either we dive into our work or we dive into the roles that we are, whether it be a daughter, a mom, a friend, a sister. Then you also have your professional life when you are a manager or other things that you need to take care of. You dive into your roles, but you actually don't register like who you are outside of being a mom or being a friend or being this boss or being this entrepreneur. And who does that person look like? What does that person love, or what do they like to do, what makes them mad, and being really just getting to know yourself all over again as far as the self-awareness and how do you move in the different spaces that you're now entering with this new found just awareness of who you are and actually sticking up for the things that you like and you believe in and not comparing yourself to the highlight reels that you see on social media to other people.
You know, you say a lot of serious things there. Thanks for sharing so far and being so authentic. Um, let's take a moment if we can, before we get into you and your backstory, take a moment and speak to the woman or male that's out there watching right now. And it's a loaded question, but I think you can handle it. They're going through some things.
Yeah.
It's very challenging. They're having some of the thoughts you may have had, and they may be thinking, "Wow, Shay, before she gets to the other stuff, what's one, two, or three things that she would recommend to me if she could speak directly to me right now?" And I'm looking at the lens. What would TC Heard say to me that can help me on this journey? What are three things that I should be looking at doing so I can get up and get going in the right direction? Again, I know people at different levels and different spaces, but if you could talk to them, I really appreciate it. You get it, you understand it, and I feel your heart through the power of these fiber optic lines. So I'd like for you to chat with them for a moment if you could. what would you say to them?
The number one thing I'm going to say is you have to get a relationship with God. For me, it's Jesus. Whoever it may be for you, whatever you believe in spiritually, you have to build a strong connection, a strong relationship with that. Because for me, I'm going through a storm right now. I'm still in the midst of one, dealing with some injuries and trying to recover and also to grow my businesses at the same time while resting and taking the rest that I need and making sure that I'm seeking the treatment. But mentally, if I did not know God and He wasn't very prevalent in my life, I wouldn't be able to continue. That's one. Two, this one thing that I'm very deep into therapy. I just also got off a fresh therapy session. I love my therapist. My therapist always instills in me that my feelings are always valid, although they may not be fact. What that means is I'm always doing these self check-ins about what I'm actually feeling and where these feelings may come from. Sometimes they are always valid, but sometimes they may be trigger points from other things or other traumas I've experienced in my life. So I have to be very conscious of how I speak to people and how I'm interacting with people. And if there's moments where I actually really just need to take my space and recluse and just kind of cut things off, that's me. And three is don't ever apologize or feel guilty for taking the rest that you need. Your to-do list is always going to be your to-do list. And I know some entrepreneurs may not always agree with that, but you want to focus on the impact that you can make and what you can do now within the means, but still be very, very honest with yourself about whatever rest it is that you need.
I love that. Says so well. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being so authentic. I certainly appreciate that. Now they're curious. Everyone doesn't read the bio, so I apologize. Everyone doesn't know who you are. I apologize. They're like, Shay, can she tell us her backstory? Who is this person? What's the journey she's been on? And what was that defining moment that led her to where she is now? So, two-part question. Number one, what's the backstory? Who are you? And then number two, what was that defining moment where you said, you know what? I'm going to go off and help other people be the best version of themselves, step into their greatness.
My backstory is that I've been performing poetry for about the last 13 years. I am a published author, and my book also took me 10 years to do. But so what? Hey, I'm an author. Hey, hello. Hallelujah to that. I am a domestic violence survivor, and again, which we already talked about the mental health sector. I'm a mental health advocate. I've also the pivotal change in my life was finally understanding God's purpose for me and the gifts that He's instilled in me, and stop playing around with my potential and to finally just risk it all and bet it all on myself and to go after what it is that not only I want, but I see the things that He's putting in front of me so that way I can achieve this.
And what do you enjoy? How did you get into poetry, by the way?
From my domestic violence relationship, when I wasn't telling anybody else, because I I actually started my relationship when I was 13 years old, and I used to hang out in the bar scene in Evans Morgan when I was 13. I always laugh about that when I say that because a lot of people would never. They always say I never kind of see like that, but I was hanging out in the bar scene and I met my ex boyfriend there, and that relationship lasted for about almost 10 years. I want to say right after until I graduated college, on and off. And poetry was the way for me to express myself and to kind of tell somebody what was happening, because here's the plot twist: he was white, and with my family being black and also two of other mixed backgrounds, I was very much afraid of what would happen to my family if they found out what he was doing to me, and them suffering the consequences for his actions. Meaning, we know, let's be very real, because we like to keep transparent here. With him being white and then black, we all know probably what the ending would have been had they exchanged words or met with one another. And I didn't want that happening to my family or my friends who cared about me. So poetry was a way to kind of say what was happening to me, but not completely pinpoint it to a person.
Wow. What was the most difficult part about getting into the poetry? It doesn't sound like the average person can pick up. It sounds very complicated. Was it that you enjoyed the writing and you was able to put the spoken word behind it? Did someone coach you or mentor you along the way? Were you self-taught? Tell us a little bit about that.
taught, but I do give a lot of credit to my high school teachers, Miss Hillian and Daniel Hutchison, she was also my drama class teacher because in high school I actually wanted to be a marine biologist and go find the mermaids. But my inspiration mostly came from Disney and being able to tell the stories and write. So I've always been writing stories, but the poetry aspect, it kind of came later around in high school when I just started writing how I was feeling and then just started. I don't do a whole lot of rhyme poetry. Mine is definitely more spoken word and just expressive. And I've had a lot of other different mentors along the way within the poetry scene. Whiskey Girl, Crochet Kingpin, Dwayne B. Johnson, Drew Anderson, Backpack Jeff, Orville the Poet, Just Me, all of those other heavy hitters. Oh, and of course, Miss Kim B. Miller, who's definitely been uh, wonderful help to me. All of they have inspired me, but I've also looked up to them since I started writing and getting into the poetry scene. But a lot of it, my poetry comes from me and it's my own experience.
I grew up on 16th and Meridian, which is right around the corner from Adams Morgan, as you know, on the other side of Ontario Road. Okay, so go to the movie theater over
Mhm.
there back when they had Bruce Lee in them. Okay, come on. I didn't see you. They didn't let me in the bar scene, by the way. But anyway, I'm just joking. Uh, but my question to you is, tell the audience what's the name of this book. I like to find. Well, I'll let you say the name of the book. I think it's pretty cool. The name of the book, and what's the who's the book for? So, what's the name of the book? What's the book for? And tell us a little bit about the backstory in the book. We're kind of curious, by the way.
So this is my book. I'm also wearing it on my shirt. But this is my book. It's called Fine Like Wine Getting with Better with Time. So this book, my healing process from first acknowledging my issues with men and some of my other daddy issues that I've had that have played out into the role of my relationships, platonic and romantic. And I talk about what it's like to actually go on a healing journey where my trauma no longer defines me, and how do you actually move in that space. And it's okay to heal. I think a lot of time, one of the other things that you talked about earlier, the question you asked me is what actually holds people back. I think a lot of people who've experienced intense trauma sometimes are afraid of the healing process because they don't know who they are or what's going to be on the other end of healing. Because there's no real rule book for healing. There is no complete guidebook or just like one set, one motion for everybody. It looks different for everybody. But when you don't know, when that unknown is facing you like straight in the face, some people don't want to go after it and they just want to kind of hold on to their trauma. And I was one of those people. And until I started just getting the right people around me in my support circle who saw what I also need to see in me, that's when things start changing for me. Like one starting with this book and the other two books that I'm in the process of writing now, telling the full story of it. But this is for anyone who needs just that extra help and that friend who's going to tell them it's okay. I've gone through this too, and you're not alone.
I love that, by the way. And one of the things that you mentioned that I thought was very important, you talked about the importance of knowing who you are and stepping into your purpose. I think that's what you said, right? They got to know their purpose. Do you have any recommendations for someone to be able to find their purpose? I know you help people be the best version of themselves, but two-part question, I guess. One, how does someone know they're in their purpose from just your view of the world? And number two, do you offer any strategies or any ideas that people could use to kind of find out, like, what's my purpose in life these days?
I started with playing to my strengths. So I'm very talented, and I'm not afraid to say that because I dabbled in a whole lot of different things. But I started to play around with my strengths. But actually, you know what? Let me back up a little bit. How I started actually walking in my purpose was the first thing that I did was I got myself a coach. My very first coach and mentor that really, really worked with me was Whiskey Girl and Backpack Jeff. When I started working more with Backpack Jeff, and this is within the past 3 years, we started first with we got to get you together. So that's how the self awareness came about. That's how identifying what my strengths came from, and also to identify my feelings. And it took a moment of me what I also to consider embarrassing myself on stage at an event, to realize that I also needed extra help. So not only working with Backpack Jeff, I got into therapy and started working out some of my emotional issues through therapy. From the journey along therapy and getting myself together mentally, I then found a knack for entrepreneurship where I started my first business and then started recognizing myself as a brand. That, okay, just because I get up on these stages and I'm spitting these poems and they are fire, the audience loving it, but I also too have to move as a business. So that became my business. I became a business because I am a brand, I'm a business. And really trying to figure out again, what is it that I like and who is my story for and who am I writing this for and who am I telling it for to get through, which I learned recently. Thank you, Dr. Cheryl, where she told me that my story is for the past version of myself. And one of the things that I know about the past version of myself, of myself, sorry, I sometimes refer to myself in the third person, is that I always thought I was alone in something and I never reached out for help. But what I do now is I make sure that I use my platform, and anytime that I'm out, whether it be at church or at a speaking event or at a poetry gig, that I'm talking to, and I try to create safe spaces to make sure that people are okay with expressing themselves.
You know, we have a segment here talking about expressing themselves. We have a segment here called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks that are tuning in, you know about the segment, you know what we're about to do. You know, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you get to say those magic words. Today is my January 1st. Doesn't that feel good, by the way? Happy New Year to you. And for all the new folks who are joining for the very first time, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We're glad you're here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get all the updates. Make sure you share this and pay this message forward and connect with us, by the way. Make sure you connect with us over on Instagram at I am Jay Brown. But today is my January 1st. It represents our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start. It means you get a do over. It means no matter how dark, no matter how gloomy, no matter what's happened back there, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question on the other side to CC is when she hear those words, today is my January 1st. Yay! What do you hear? And number two, what was another setback you had in your life that you had to bounce back from?
Today is my January 1st means that I am no longer playing it safe and humbling myself so that way others can feel comfortable in the room with me. If I come in the room and I light up the room, it's okay for me to do that. And I don't want to ever like shy away from really being who I am at all times. A setback that kind of helped me down was there have been three times in my life where I found myself without making consistent income. The first two times, I didn't truly learn the lesson about how to maneuver my money and be smart with my money. The third time just happened this year where I'm like, okay, girl, we gotta get together. Like, it's not a charm. It's not like this is just for play. Like, now understand my whys being the future that I'm building for the family that I'm starting with my partner, and also understanding that struggle ain't cute and we don't have to stay here. There's another happy side of it. Again, like I had said earlier, there's another side outside of trauma. There's healing, and healing looks great. I want to be on the side of not struggling anymore, so I'm going to start being smarter with my money and let my money work for me.
I love that. Let my money work for me. Doesn't that feel good, by the way? One of my
Yes,
favorite
it
questions to ask on these segments, and thanks for being so authentic, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? I always like to share, you've had so many mentors along this journey of life, right? So many mentors. But if you had to pick one idea, one value that's near and dear to you that you want to share with the audience, what would it be and why? What's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I can say I've heard over and over, especially within the past 2 weeks, is no one is coming to save you. And the reason why I picked that one is because even the moments when I had to like take my time to feel how I was feeling and get over it, I had to be the one to go in prayer, take my therapy. I had to be the one to actually do what I needed to do to see the change in my life that I wanted to see the change. of, like whatever I wanted to happen. I had to be the one to do that. No one could do it for me. I had to be the one to go make these connections and to like build these relationships and to put in the effort to fixing these things. And even if you are a person who is a solopreneur and then moving into a space of hiring a team, you still have to know how to hire your team. So not no one's going to save you, but you have to invest in yourself because that'll always be the best investment.
What do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world, making a difference, reading and doing poetry, writing books? What do you do for fun these days?
I'm an introvert, so I like to spend my time with my puppies in my bed watching TV. And right now, it's Modern Family, and I mean, we're in the holiday season, so I always have these traditions of watching my holiday movies, but also to rewatching the Harry Potter movies and my favorite Disney movies. So I kind of like to be chilling, left alone, because as much as I love people, and even the more connections you make, the way how I recharge and my fun is staying home and being safe in my house, watching TV and chilling out.
Thanks so much for sharing. Two-part questions. We come down the home stretch. Number one, how can folks best connect with you? And number two, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days?
People can best connect with me on Instagram, and it's the same thing as my website. It's the TC Heard. That's THETC as in cat, and Heard like you heard something, HEARD. That's also on my website. Besides the books that I have coming out, I'm also launching a entrepreneur starter kit. Because one thing that I found out with connecting with people and even poets or speakers is they don't have a lot of their basics together. Meaning you don't have your LLC, you don't have your business account, you don't have your DUNS number, you don't have your website, you don't even have a business QR code, and you don't even have your brand kit and the clarity. So I am launching that at the end of December, where I'm looking for people who at least I can teach you the smart way to start as an entrepreneur and to make it as cost effective as possible. Because you also too know, Shay, that every penny counts. So when you know the every ins and outs of your business, you can better train your staff for someone to come and take over the reins for you. So I teach people how to do that.
Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. Got to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to coming back.
And thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, the viewers. Thank you for being here, because without you, there is no show. So we really appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. Make sure you connect with us over at Instagram at I am Jay Brown. I want you to know, as you're listening, as you're watching, and I love to share every night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that you really are amazing. You are so awesome deep, deep inside you. You've got so much greatness. You got so much potential. And I believe that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, well, it's still Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless, and we wish you success. Bye. So long, TC. We appreciate you. Great job.
Bye.
Peace.